Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another edition of Ruthless Talk. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Yeah,
spreading
absolutely.
all the love around the wrestling world. And Brian, welcome back. I missed you this past weekend. Welcome back, my man. It's good to have you back onto the show. Shout out to David, who filled in for me this past Saturday. Want to give a good shout out to him. Make sure you guys go check his stuff out. Go check out our last upload. He came onto the show with me. We talked SmackDown. We talked the press conference, as well as a little bit of AEW, as that is up on our YouTube channel, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you guys go check that out. So make sure you click out of this video and go check out our latest upload on SmackDown, AEW, and all of that good stuff. But today is all about Monday Night Raw. The road to WrestleMania continues. We are less than, 2 weeks away, or almost a week away from Elimination Chamber, the big Elimination Chamber event coming up in Australia, which as of right now, from what I have seen, that pay-per-view will be starting at legit 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time.
2 a.m. on the West Coast.
2 a.m. on the West Coast. That's exactly right, Brian. So, yeah, if you want to, and people wanted freaking Roman and Rock on this freaking pay-per-view. It still blows my freaking marbles. But, hey, if you feel like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, then, hey, freaking go have a ball and go watch Elimination Chamber. So that is going to be, I'm pretty sure, February 24th. And pretty much just from a week from now. So that is coming up, and we will be doing a review on that show. But before we talk about Elimination Chamber, we got to talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. But before we do so, Brian, I am going to have you start this cold open off, because I know me and David spoke about the whole press conference, as well as the big announcement from Tony Khan this past Saturday. And I'm sure a lot of people, as am I, are interested to hear what your thoughts are about in regard to this whole situation with Roman and Rock, the press conference, Cody officially putting the stamp on him and Roman at WrestleMania in the main event, as well as what The Rock and his whole situation is, and as well as Mercedes Moné. At this point, is pretty much clear she's going to be in AEW, which is going to be March 13th. That show is called Big Business, by the way. I was struggling to find the name of that show from last episode. It is called Big Business, and it's going to be legit in the TD Garden in Boston. So I think it's pretty clear that she will most likely making her AEW Dynamite debut, or AEW debut in general. So, but Brian, the floor is yours, man. Your thoughts, the press conference, Mercedes Moné. The floor is yours, man. Take it away.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this as short as I can, because, I'm going to have to, as much as, or as least as we can going forward, I really don't want to mention Vince McMahon's name, really, at all.
Right.
But, this whole situation, look, yes, there are Cody crybabies. There have been wrestling crybabies for whatever star, since forever. So, I don't know. Deal with it. Stop being a crybaby if that's you are, or if that's you. I don't know what to tell you, man. But I understand the back and forth with Cody, and that it just how it hasn't. That's just been a mess. But I feel like people look, we know how wrestling goes sometimes, right? And in the midst of all of this, right, the real life stories going on here that are so much bigger and more important than freaking wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they had the Royal Rumble. They announced this deal with Netflix. Everything was looking fucking awesome, right? And boom, in the snap of a finger, all that's wiped out. And they had to call audibles on the fly, and they did a great job of it. So, it was, you didn't, coming out of that Rumble, nobody was talking about Vince, which is exactly what they wanted to happen. So you can bitch and moan about who won the Rumble, how it happened, who's fighting at Mania, whatever, but they accomplished their goal. So, that's to that point. And going forward now, look, I know you feel a certain way about Triple H, and I do to some degree too, but this is now the first time that Vince McMahon is gone. he is not coming back. He has nothing to do, no influence, nothing over this.
Mm-hmm.
And in the hands of The Rock, TKO, Triple H, Nick Khan, this company has a very, very, very bright future without, and I think a better future, a more inclusive future, a more, as much as we, bitch about this star or that star not getting the shot or never getting the shot or whatever, like for 40 fucking years, the only guy in the room or the guy in the room that made the decision was Vince McMahon. Up until, yes, you can say arguably the last 2 years, it's been back and forth, it's been up in the air, a whole bunch of crazy shit. But other than that, it's been Vince. Now you have just, again, I don't really know Nick Khan's wrestling prowess or wrestling mind, but you got Rock and Triple H there. And with Triple H, right, the whole NXT and how he grew that, I think that is more representative of who Triple H is and wants to be in growing new talent, pushing new talent, than what we've seen in the past 2 years of on the main roster, because Vince was not gone. There was always the shadow of Vince. So that's all. I just think moving forward, however this plays out in Mania, and I get it, it looks very bad with Cody saying, like, I'm not going to challenge you for that, at this Mania. And then coming out on the press conference and this is bullshit. Like, well, no, Cody, you said it, and I understand these are lines that he's given. But this was also a moment in time where I don't think anybody expected The Rock to come back and be booed. So again, they called an audible. Rock is the heel. He's leaning into it. Cody's the face. He's leaning into it. And that's what you want, So however this plays out, the future is bright for WWE. So, I'll leave it at that. Like whoever, as long as I think The Rock and Triple H are there. Again, Nick Khan, I guess he's maybe more the business side of things, which appears to be a great, good businessman, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
So future's bright. And moving on to Mercedes Moné. Oh, God bless you, girl, man. I hope, seriously, I want her to do so well, and I hope she can go in there and elevate that women's division.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hoping for. Best of luck to her. Definitely excited to see her back, and whether it does look like it's going to be AEW. So excited to see her back, and hopefully, they can just, again, because you and I have talked about it, there is talent over there. So hopefully they can get that shit going and more consistent, and develop these characters and storylines. But best of luck, to her. Definitely glad to see her back. Hope it works out.
Yeah. Nah, you and me both, man. And I'll touch more about this whole Roman, Rock, Cody situation, especially now it seems like, The Rock, you're getting heel Rock, but it's not any type of Hollywood type of character. This is something more different.
Right. It's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. And I've spoken before, and again, I'll touch more up on it later. They're doing everything to get you excited that's really not involving Cody and Roman. That's my issue in regards to this entire situation. Like I've said it before, Roman and Seth, because of what they've been doing, taking jabs at one another, that intrigues me than what you have done for the past year with Cody and Roman, as well as what you're doing with The Rock. Is heel Rock, could that be awesome? Abso-freaking-lutely, it can. It's the freaking Rock. He's going to turn chicken shit into chicken salad any given day of the week. And him against Cody, that seems to me, and we always talk about the story, but now it just seems like the story just continues to change with Cody, and now it just gets more and more confusing. We know that the story is for you to win the title that your father never won, but now is it really more about Roman Reigns now that The Rock is now involved in this entire situation. And is
Right.
The Rock being involved in this? And we don't know what The Rock's involvement is going to be at this year's WrestleMania. You know, there's already talks about the fact that it's going to be Roman and Rock for next year's Mania, which I don't have a problem with. It's just weird how we're putting that on the back burner versus Cody and Roman, which I've spoken about. There's just nothing that you have done between those two in general to get me excited, as well as a lot of other people that I'm sure feel the same way. And if you do to a degree, for anybody watching that's excited for Cody and Roman, good for you. I just hope that they understand why that a lot of people are just like me, are just not on board with it, because they've done everything in their power to not focus mainly on Cody and Roman. Everything that they have done, from the press conference to frickin' Raw, which we're going to get into, as well as everything else, has never really been about Cody and Roman. And that's the weird thing about this entire situation as well. Can they salvage this entire situation from the lawsuit and all the weird audibles that they've had to call? Sure, they could salvage that to a degree, but man, they're going to have to do a lot. And I mean, like triple 10 times the work, like I always say. Can they do that? I mean, we'll soon find out. I mean, right. I'm not very hopeful about it, but yeah. And like you said with Nick Khan, I mean, Nick Khan,
I think it's going to work out. I really, with this leadership and Vince out completely, I think all this is going to work out.
He's going to be the guy. He's the guy financially. And like I said, I've said it before. I mean, WWE is financially doing very, very well. And you can thank Nick Khan for it. And Triple H, man, you know, again, I want to believe in Triple H creating these shows. I just don't. I just look at the way that since Triple H has fully taken over, regardless if you want to say Vince played a part in it or whatever, but Triple H has been now at the helm for quite some time now. And yeah, things have been slightly different than what Vince McMahon has done over the past 10 years. And yeah, some of it is slightly good to a degree. But are there a lot of problems still in this company creatively? You're damn freaking right they are. You got the women's division, you got the mid-card division, you got the tag title division. There's a lot of freaking holes. And a lot of that right now over the past several months, and as well as to a year, has been because of Triple H. And that's something that I just have to hold Triple H accounted for. You know, it doesn't mean, and listen, I've given Triple H kudos many times when he's deserved it. But I also have to have the same amount of energy for when he legit does weird, baffling shit creatively. And that's just what it comes down to. Doesn't mean I legit hate the guy. I don't think that he can frickin' hold or be that creative mind that could take WWE to the promised land. It's just that he hasn't given me enough proof to tell me otherwise. And until he does consistently, and I'm talking about booking a show from top to bottom that gets me captivated from start to finish. That's what I mean. Yeah, can you say that's maybe nitpicking or a little bit more, you know, of a high standard? Yeah, sure. But that's just how I look at things. I have a very high standard. I'm a very honest person, and that's just who I'm going to continue to be. And, you know, that's the one thing I always, you know, reach or say to people in regards to, listen, if you're going to critique something, you just got to be fully freaking honest. You know, just because you may like something, what's going on right now, doesn't mean you can't have your full honest take of what the reality is going on. But yeah, I mean, is financially with Nick Khan, are they in a good place right now? Sure. But with Triple H, there's still a lot of question marks. And now, you know, who knows, maybe Raw going off of the USA network and going to Netflix. There's a lot of positives that can go into that. You know, there's a lot of maybe network executives that maybe people like Triple H and others that try to get onto the show, and some network executives just don't allow it. So maybe that's another blunder that can make the show a little bit better. I mean, we'll see. Again, I'm not holding hope about it, but, and then, yeah, with Mercedes, man, you know, I'm the same way as you, bro. Like, I'm glad that she's back. Yeah. I'm glad that she's back into wrestling. And, you know, we both feel the same way about Mercedes, that she is legit one of, if not the best female professional wrestler today. It's just, you know, she's going to put on great wrestling matches.
Yeah,
she's going to be portrayed as a big deal, but is AEW capable enough, as well as Tony Khan, to give her that stage? Is that stage to where she can create big headlines to draw in people outside of the AEW niche, because that's the problem with AEW. They're not reaching out to their outside of their niche audience. That's why in television ratings, on the TBS network and TNT, you're only seeing 750, 800, 850,000 some odd of people. And that's legit of average of your niche audience, and there's a reason why, and then, you get to a women's match and that's a huge indicator of like, oh, I got nothing to miss. Let me go back to, let me see this NBA basketball game that's going on because I'm not missing anything. And that's a big deal. A lot of casual fans, they flick through channels to see, hey, what's on? And if what they see on the TBS network is not going to captivate them, then they're just going to keep flicking and flicking and flicking off that on their television remote. And that's just the reality, is that nothing that Tony Khan is doing. And again, is there talent? Absolutely. There's a lot of talent. But it's up to this company to set the stage for these people to draw in headlines. And the only headlines that Tony Khan has been creating is with himself on freaking Twitter, and everything else that has nothing to do with the product that he's producing. And that's the problem. So, but I'll
just say this one last thing regarding Mercedes, man. I just hope that while they're still in their prime, like not like a nostalgia act, but man, I got to see Bayley Sasha one more time, or even something with the 4 horsewomen. Like I hope they can all come together at some point, somehow, whatever, while they can still go when they're still at the top,
Absolutely.
But that's just fantasy, if everything
Fantasy
works
booking.
out perfectly, so we'll see.
We'll see.
But God, man, I want to see another Bayley Sasha match so bad.
Yeah, man. I was funny. I actually went back and shout out to Richie as well as Chrissy Tina. They did. They actually just did a collaboration on the WWE Divas. So shout out to those two, as well as they were on TikTok and they were going over one of the best matches in NXT or best takeover matches. And man, I still reminisce that whole matchup at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I actually went back and watched that match. It's funny, once, because they were talking about it, I'm like, man, I want to go back and watch that matchup. And I did, and it was better than the last 10 times I freaking watched that matchup. I legit say this to people all the time, man. One of the greatest women's wrestling matches, if not the greatest women's wrestling matches I've seen in the last 10 freaking years. It was that freaking damn good. So yeah, man, I mean, you can only cross your fingers in regards to that whole 4 horsewomen stuff. But shout out to Mercedes. She's going to make her debut. It's going to be special, just like a lot of, AEW, talents that come onto the products. They make a big splash.
The return is big, let's keep that momentum. Right.
Straight back down to the bottom. That's the trend for AEW. So, but we'll see. And we'll talk more about AEW this coming weekend. But let's jump into Monday Night Raw. There is a few things we want to go over. Again, we will not go over this entire show, but there are some topics that we'd like to discuss. And the first topic that I do want to mention is Sami Zayn. And I mentioned this on our Instagram as well as social media about Sami Zayn. It has been very interesting of what they're doing with Sami Zayn, because he has been losing a lot. The last time Sami Zayn has won a singles match was back in Crown Jewel on the kickoff show against JD McDonuts. Yes, I know it's JD McDonuts, but I'm going to call him JD McDonuts. And as well as on Monday Night Raw. Before that, you would have to go back to August 14th on a Monday Night Raw. So they have, and again, he made a big return at the Royal Rumble. And it seems like he's right back to this losing streak. Now, look, I get to a degree of what they're doing. They're trying to play this underdog story with Sami Zayn. And hey, with his character, it fits well and it's believable for a guy like Sami Zayn to play in this role. He's losing these matches. He's trying to find a spot or a place at Mania, and he's not getting the job done. And he's trying to grind it out. He's like Rocky. He talked about how Triple H said he called him Rocky after the match he had against Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, which is funny because that's the same exact movie reference that people have been talking about with Cody. But whatever, I'm going to play along with it. But so I get it to a degree of what we're doing, and I don't mind it. And I don't even need Sami Zayn at this point, Brian, to go after a championship, which is why I'm going to get to why I'm not on board with what WWE is doing long term, especially in Mania.
Mhm.
And that is the fact that we're hearing that he's going to be potentially inserted into the World Heavyweight title picture. That is just very weird to me. Listen, if you want to play this underdog story, because we assume that Drew McIntyre is most likely going
Right.
to be the guy to face Seth Rollins. He's going to win the chamber, and he's going to face Seth Rollins from... It just seems obvious at this point. Now, and then you add Sami Zayn into this picture. Now, again, you've already had Drew McIntyre beat this dude constantly. And now you're going to insert him into this match. And they'll probably do something, Brian. And I've said this before in regard to these qualifying matches that they've had as of late. They're going to do something to where, all the people that lost their qualifying matches, they're going to get one more opportunity. And by the way, they're doing it with the women. So I was freaking right. I was spot on with that. I freaking knew it. I called that shit. And they're probably going to freaking do it with the men at some point. And Sami Zayn could probably be one of those people where he's going to try to find his way into the chamber. So the question is if Sami Zayn or Drew McIntyre gets inserted into this match with Rollins, then I ask, what's the point of having qualifying matches and what's the point of having the chamber? If you're just going to magically insert, whether it is Drew or whether it is Sami Zayn, it's probably going to be one of those two for the most part, as of course, we already know Roman is taking on Cody and the whole Bloodline situation. So the whole Seth and Cody is now out the window. So that leaves Drew, Sami, and maybe another name or two if you want to, pick your poison. But so that's just what's weird to me, Brian. It's not the fact that, I understand what they're doing with him. It's just for Mania to have him just magically be inserted into this match somehow is just very odd to me if he's not going to win the chamber or find his way into the chamber. And I've even said this too about Sami Zayn, Money in the Bank is going to be in Toronto in Canada. And I'm thinking, man, if you were ever to give Sami Zayn the ball again, the Money in the Bank briefcase can freaking do that for Sami Zayn. Now, we can debate, and there's a conversation whether that's the best fit to have Sami Zayn win a championship. But man, like if there's a time for Sami Zayn, moving down like long term to say, okay, this is when we're going to really give Sami Zayn the ball. Why not at Money in the Bank this coming summer and this year, especially in his home country of Canada? That's just, it's in Toronto. I know it's not Montreal, but it's in Canada.
Right.
As of right now, and I'll of course think more about it and go more into depth about it as we get closer to that event in the summer. I don't see why not. And you finally start to get Sami Zayn back into that at least somewhat close to where he was when he was facing Roman in Montreal against Roman Reigns. So, but Brian, I'll have you discuss more about this, man. Your thoughts about Sami Zayn, his losing streak, and where do you think he fits at WrestleMania this year?
Yeah, at Mania, I don't know. I mean, he's not fighting Seth for the title at Mania.
I was gonna say, that would be weird. No.
Again, that's just not happening. The thing that kind of just, I don't know, bothers me a little bit how they're like, it seems like they're going, at least with Cody and Sami, like your top baby faces, you're kind of building them all the same way. This adversity, struggle,
right?
It's just like you don't have to build every baby face the same way. Like,
and it's fun. And sorry to cut you off, Brian. And that's what's really weird about it's to where it's like it's great that they have a lot of baby faces that are somewhat popular, if not over, with this crowd. But it seems like everybody has the same shtick. Like Cody Rhodes, he's trying to struggle and earn his way back to Mania. And now Sami Zayn is kind of doing the same exact thing. It's very, very weird. And that's why, Brian, I have a lot of questions in regards to how this is going to progress moving forward. But yeah, continue.
So yeah, I mean, I think eventually, you know, and I hope he does get back there. But yeah, if he's in the title picture, that's after, again, we assume Drew's fighting Seth at Mania and probably going to win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something for further, you know, in summertime or you know, whatever it may be. But
yeah,
for this Mania, man, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would assume he's probably going to find some way into the Elimination Chamber, but I don't see him winning the Elimination Chamber. I don't see him facing Seth in any way that he could face Seth right now at Mania.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it looks like he's, well, you know, I guess maybe they'll have, or would it be too soon at Elimination Chamber? I don't know. But I mean, they're obviously getting ready to do Nakamura and Sami, which I think that could be a great feud as well. I don't know if that's what he does at Mania, but we'll see. But yeah, I just don't, you know, I like Sami Zayn. I like his character. And yes, he's an underdog type character, but like, just with your faces, you just can't build them all this and have them do the same type of deal. You know,
yeah,
you get there and you knock back down, and then you got to struggle to get back up there. It's so it just becomes so
very
repetitive.
Right? Very, very repetitive. And listen, you know, I like the visual of Zayn. He's in the empty arena and he's talking with I believe, was it Kathy Kelly or maybe it was somebody else? I'm not sure. But he's talking about, listen, you know, I want to prove to the fans that, you know, they didn't waste their time believing in me and all of this stuff. But yeah, it seems like we're doing that with Cody. And it feels like that's just been the shtick as of late with just baby faces in general. It's just like everything is about a struggle or
LA Knight.
adversity.
I mean, LA Knight isn't saying it on the microphone per se, but that's kind of the same thing, you know, where he finds himself, right?
Right. It's very, very just odd,
yeah.
if you want to say it to that regard. So, but yeah, and with Shinsuke, man, it's just like, and again, Sami Zayn and Shinsuke, again, it was a fine match for what it was. It's just, I don't know if fans really needed to wait 3 hours to watch a Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That's what I can't, and that's the thing too about the build towards this Mania. Not even just Elimination Chamber, but just Mania. It's just like the cliffhangers and the suspense and thinking outside the box. Like, there's really just not a whole lot of that. I like the whole Shinsuke showing up on the Tron talking with Sami. Like, that's cool. That's a good visual. And now, and what's kind of sucks about it though, Brian, is that if they were to do Shinsuke and Sami Zayn, it kind of sucks the fact that you just already wasted that match on Raw.
Right.
And now you're going to try to, because it would have to be some type of, dare I say, a stipulation or something. I don't know, because I don't even know what Shinsuke's freaking his direction I don't really know going me either. Right now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he faced Cody freaking, what was it, last week in a bull rope match, which was, again, for what it was in that moment is an entertaining match. Again, if you go back to when Dusty Rhodes had his bull rope match back in the day, but yeah, it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting situation to where does Sami Zayn end up? Would they just
and Shinsuke,
right? Yeah. And Shinsuke too, to that degree. It's just like, cool. If you want to build a feud between Shinsuke and Sami, cool. Then why did we need to just see the match on Raw?
Right.
If we're just going to see it, and that's the thing too about Drew and Seth. I like the fact that Drew's getting this opportunity, as he should, because he's doing really well. But man, I've seen Seth and Drew about 17,000 times. Slight exaggeration, but still,
right?
You know, and now you're going to put that at WrestleMania. You know, like, it's just that's where I'm hesitant about it. But maybe again with Drew, it like him finally winning the title and finally giving him this push could be a big positive that outweighs the negative. To where, okay, it's Seth and Drew. I've seen them in a match. There's really nothing much I need to see from them. But Drew is probably going to win, and it's a big positive to see where he goes with this push or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Sami Zayn, if he is going to be part of Mania, like, where does he go? I mean, does he face Shinsuke again? Does he get somehow inserted into this world title picture, which would make no fucking sense?
Yeah. Not right now. Yeah.
At least now, not right now. It would seem very out of place for him, especially if he's not going to win the chamber. I do feel like, again, they've already done it with the women. They're probably going to do it again for the men, to where it's like a loser's bracket. Everybody that lost their freaking qualifying match, they're going to face each other in a fatal 4-way circus match, and whoever wins is going to get that last final spot in the chamber or something. So, we'll soon find out, man. But look, the vignettes with Shinsuke and Sami being in that arena, trying to prove himself as well as to people. It's an interesting dynamic, but again, like you said, Brian, it feels like we're just doing that with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it just seems like Sami Zayn is just, lost. And I guess that's where WWE wants to go with it. Like, he's lost. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to find his way to Mania. So who knows? I just hope that they continue. There's just a long-term plan with all this. And again, could this potentially lead? And again, I would
the Money in the Bank idea. I think that's perfect to where, especially if Drew is holding the title and Sami has the Money in the Bank.
That'd be something to talk about or really think about. Like, could Sami Zayn be that guy to win the briefcase this year and to finally, cash in his moment and win the world title, whatever title he goes after. And again, it's in his home country of Canada. It fits. So we'll see. Of course, there's also still LA Knight as well in the picture as well. I'm sure LA Knight's going to be a part as well. Of course, he's also a part of this chamber match. And it's going to be interesting to see where LA Knight goes. It's like LA Knight, it seems like he's going to continue this shtick with AJ Styles. It seems maybe Styles and LA Knight for Mania. I'd honestly would rather see that, Brian, than him go after a mid-card title. That's with Logan Paul, if I'm being completely honest with you. Especially because he didn't get the job done with Roman, and now I'm going to see him fight for a mid-card title. I was also seeing like Sami Zayn should go after the IC title. No. No. The guys, because guys, he's supposed to be the main. He's supposed to be one of the top guys in this company, and for him to just go from facing Roman and being in these main events, these main event caliber guys like Gunther and Seth and all these other people, for him to just go to the mid card. And again, it's Gunther. I get it. He's one of the best, the greatest Intercontinental title holders in recent memory. I get it, but it's still a mid card title for a guy that's fought for the world heavyweight title, which he has against Seth, for a guy that's faced Roman Reigns for the undisputed universal title. And for him to just fail and just say, okay, we'll give you the IC title. That doesn't sit well with me. I'd rather you just put Sami Zayn in something relevant, something that doesn't even have to deal with the title. And then, Brian, like we've mentioned about Money in the Bank, once we get to Money in the Bank, then we can have a conversation to say, okay, now let's talk about maybe Sami Zayn or giving the rocket to Sami Zayn, which is a world title belt in the future. So, but we'll see in regards to it. But let's continue on with the show. Our next topic focuses on the ladies. The ladies, which was Becky Lynch. She came out. She had some sporty freaking outfit on, she was looking damn good. I will freaking say that, with her backwards cap on and everything. And she cut a damn freaking good promo, a really, really damn good promo, as well as Seth. And we'll get to Seth later on. She talked about, her daughter and how like she had to explain like that she's 3 years old. She has to explain like why he can't pick her, or she can't pick her up because she has a separated shoulder, or why daddy is facing Maui, aka The Rock, right? I thought that actually I laughed at that. That was
that was
really,
good.
really funny. That was really, really good. And she just delivered a damn solid good promo, of course, talking about the chamber, as well as, of course, sending a message to Rhea Ripley, who's your champion. And that's when Nia Jax comes out and she gets just some "you suck" chants. Their fans were just like, "You suck. So they're just giving it to Nia Jax. Nia Jax is just not having any of it. She's playing like this sad sympathy type of like shtick, like she's fake crying or like acting like she feels for Becky. Like, I wish, whoever my future kid looks at me like the way that your daughter does to you or whatever. Like, you're such a strong mother and all that stuff. He's like, you're going to win the chamber. I know it. And then, once I defeat Rhea Ripley at the chamber, then I'll see you at Mania. And then that's when mommy Rhea Ripley comes out and she's not happy. She's like, screw talking. I'm going to freaking beat this woman's ass. And they just go blow for blow. They brawl. Frickin' Becky has a frickin' drink in her hand. She's just in the corner, just sipping on Kool-Aid or lemonade, whatever the fuck it was. And then she ends up getting involved. She ends up, or Nia Jax does the corner splash, and she connects both Rhea and Becky to it. Rhea ends up gaining the upper hand. Becky gets involved. She delivered a drop kick off the top rope, and they send Nia Jax out of the ring. Rhea delivers a boot to the face to Nia Jax, and Nia Jax retreats up the rampway. And Becky and Rhea stand tall. Your top stars, potential WrestleMania match between those two. They both stand tall over Nia Jax. So, Brian, I'll get my thoughts in, but I'll have you start with this, man. Your thoughts on this segment, your thoughts on this chamber match with Rhea and Nia Jax, and everything else as a whole in regards to these ladies.
Yeah, I thought it was a good segment, man. I'll stick by it. I still don't want to see Becky and Rhea at Mania, but it looks like that's what we're going to get. And really, with Rhea, especially the last 2-3 weeks, in like just her intensity and her promos, and even at the end of this little segment here, when she looks back at Becky, just the intensity on her face, man. There's just something. She stepped it up a notch or two, I think, in the last 2-3 weeks here, man, which I think is fantastic. If there is a triple threat match at Mania, I think this is going to be it. Like not a Rocky, Cody, whatever. Mm-hmm. If we see a triple threat match at Mania, I think it's going to be Rhea, ladies. Becky, and Nia.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a triple threat. But then again, I'm not that excited about a Becky Rhea match either. So, I'm kind of at this point, I'm okay either way with it. I just want a good story,
Yeah. And again, it's interesting too, because, as of late, I've been thinking like they could insert Liv Morgan into this. Liv Morgan, she's been cutting promos on Rhea as of late, but and
that's another thing. Does Becky or Liv win the chamber?
That's
I know, right?
That's what's interesting about this, right?
I'd be more behind. I'd be more interested to see Liv and her continue that story with Rhea.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's the thing. I just question how high WWE is with Liv right now, and I think that and because you might be right, man. Like Nia can still find her way to get back into this said match, because again, you see how Rhea Ripley continues to be separated from the rest of the Judgment Day because she's getting cheered. She's becoming more of the baby face, and she's separating herself constantly now from the Judgment Day to where it's evident. So to kind of blur the lines a bit, whether it is Nia Jax, whether it's Liv, or hell, both, and they turn this shit into a fatal four-way. Anything is on the freaking table, Brian, with its company. I swear. But
right. I know. This one's up in the air, man. I don't know.
I think at this point, it's not. Even though I've said it before, like Rhea and Becky, it's evident, which I do think is going to happen. Whether it is Becky, whether it is Liv that wins this chamber, I would honestly say it as of right now that Becky is probably going to win the chamber, because they keep also promoting the fact that it's her first chamber match. Right. So I think like, oh, it's her first chamber match and she freaking wins it. And it's also, again, another accolade for this company to promote in the future that, hey, she's won the Rumble. She's won the Elimination Chamber. She was Becky 2 belts at WrestleMania in the main event. Again, man, they're just continuing to stack the deck of accomplishments for Becky, and I feel like this would be another one on her resume that she'll achieve. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with Nia, because she's going to take this loss, and I think that's a way for Rhea to look more like a star, that she took out Nia Jax, and that's why I honestly feel like, and again, it depends on how. Because, again, I don't know how high WWE is with Liv Morgan right now. I think it's kind of evident as of late since her last world title run. They haven't been that high with her. And I think she's honestly better than what a lot of people give, or a lot of fans give her credit for. But, I mean, she's been stuck in tag teams. She's been stuck in all these weird segments with a lot of different ladies as of late, ever since her injury. So it could still be Nia Jax. I don't know. Regardless, man, somebody is going to get inserted. Like, that's just the gut feeling that I have here.
Right. Me too.
So yeah, it's very, very interesting, as well as where Rhea Ripley as well goes from here and how the Judgment Day does split, because I think it's evident the more Rhea Ripley turns face and continues to stay separated, they're probably going to tell the story like, hey, like you've been, doing your own thing, not worrying about us. And that's going to cause even more friction between Rhea and the rest of the Judgment Day. Again, maybe Damian Priest gets involved in this and gets turned on because he still has this briefcase. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, Brian, before we get to our next topic, your final thoughts with that.
Yeah, just speaking of Liv, man. I mean, just a couple podcasts ago, I was like, I just can't get on board with the woe is me. But now, since she's coming back, it's a little bit different character, right? She's not really playing that, or maybe, unless she has and I've missed it. But I mean, I've only seen her a couple times, but it seems like she's got a bit more edge to her. I guess I don't know what the word is, but like it's not this like poor little me, babyface character. So. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where we go with that, but I think that's something that she needed in her character to go to another level.
Yeah, exactly. And of course with Nia Jax, and I say Nia Jax is still on the table because I've even said with Jade Cargill, because as of right now, the plans for Jade Cargill at Elimination Chamber have been scrapped. I don't know if you might even hear anything about Jade Cargill until probably, dare I say, after Mania, or maybe they do have plans for her at Mania.
I missed it. Did some news come out?
That was the source that I came across, that Jade Cargill, or there were plans for Jade Cargill for Elimination Chamber to be a part, I guess, of the chamber, and now those plans have been scrapped. That was a source that I came across just earlier today. So that kind of goes against what I was assuming that they were going to do with Nia Jax, because again, there's history between her and Jade, eliminating her from the Rumble. They can have Nia, because it seems like Jade portrayed herself a lot as the babyface in that Rumble, and Nia Jax is playing as this heel. I just think it was pretty evident, but now her plans have been scrapped from the chamber. I don't know. And again, I'll need to know more about that, but that's what I came across earlier, that they completely have scrapped plans with Jade Cargill, at least for the chamber as of right now.
Right.
So that kind of leaves the question, is Nia Jax still going to be inserted? But again, it's also the same thing I said about the men. It's just, what's the point of qualifying matches? What's the point of the chamber if all of a sudden, and the snap of a finger, someone just gets magically inserted into this title match with Rhea and possibly Becky?
Yeah.
It's just very, very weird about how we're going about things. And qualifying matches, like, don't even get me started. It's the most lazy, like, just pick your 6 people or however many people are in this freaking chamber. I don't need to have a bunch of qualifying matches. It's just freaking lazy. It's filler. Right? Especially the matches that they're doing, you already expect of who is going to win this match and who's already going to be a part of this chamber. So just place these freaking people in the match already. I don't need to see freaking Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. I don't even know if Candice LeRae is even in a qualifying match, but all of these people that we know are not going to be a part of this thing. Why waste their time just to put on another good wrestling match for 5 to 10 minutes? It's just like, stop. It's pointless. Like, pick your 6 people and let's get creative. Let's get excited about this chamber. Maybe tell some individual stories with each of these members, and maybe tell something and plant some seeds for WrestleMania. But instead, we're just wasting all of this time on qualifying matches. It's just so fucking weird. That's just my frustration. Can you guys tell how much I love qualifying matches? Can it tell? But let's get into our next topic. Our next topic is with the Intercontinental Championship, and that is Gunther and Jey Uso. So yes, it is official. That has been announced that Jey Uso will face Gunther for the IC title next week. As this past Monday on Raw, there was a 6-man tag, good old 6-man tag match. You got Jey Uso and the New Day against the entire Imperium faction. Of course, Jey Uso and the New Day pick up the W. Jey Uso does the Uso splash onto Vinci, I believe, who took the pinfall in this match. And yeah, Jey Uso is granted this match against Gunther for next week. So they're not going to take this to Chamber.
No.
And we already knew that this wasn't going to be taking place at Mania, because we probably know by now that it's going to be Jey and his brother Jimmy, probably for night one at Mania. So we know that it probably wasn't going to get pushed to frickin' to Mania at this point. But yeah, they're going to just have this on the middle of Monday Night Raw. So, and that's the thing too, man, about 6-man tags. And this is what I can't stand about this company. Because Brian, like Jey Uso and Gunther, like that could be
that's a pay-per-view match.
Promising. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a pay-per-view worthy match.
Yep.
And it's just weird how we're getting to this match to just place Jey Uso and Gunther already in a match with several other different people. It's just very weird. And now, poof, you're going to see the match next week. It's like, come on, man. Like, we got to, like, put our thinking caps on a little bit more and get creative of how we book this stuff. But listen, I think it's also obvious, too, that Jay's not winning this match. I know a lot of people think, like, oh, Jay could be the guy to take it. Guys, he's not going to do it.
Not on a Raw.
Nor should he really, especially that he's about to go into a match with his brother Jimmy at Mania, especially not on a Monday Night Raw. You're going to have all this build up for Gunther and the IC title. You're just going to waste in the middle of a Raw. Yeah, absolutely not. So yeah, and that leaves the question about Gunther and this IC title moving forward. You know, because now, and I've mentioned too, Brian, about Braun Breaker. And honestly, Brian, the more I'm thinking about it, because we said, like, it's got to be maybe somebody new, you can build a star. But even if you have that at Mania and you have Braun Breaker, who, by the way, just won tag titles with freaking Baron Corbin, by the way, that's a different discussion. I'm just going to save that. But let's say if Braun Breaker is the guy to face Gunther, are a lot of people who, again, when it comes to WrestleMania, a lot of those fans are casuals. Are they going to know who this guy Braun Breaker is? Right. They're going to be like, wait, why is this guy facing Gunther out of all people? That's also the blunder I have also with Braun Breaker. If they're going to save it for Mania, whenever Braun Breaker, again, I think he's going to start off with the Judgment Day, because he's already planted seeds about that from his Rumble appearance, that he's not done with the Judgment Day whenever he does debut, or get the ball rolling with him consistently on the show. So I don't know, man. Like, the names are wearing thin with Gunther winning this IC championship. Now, again, Chad Gable is probably the only safest route you can go. The problem is Chad Gable hasn't done jack shit, guys. He hasn't been consistently on the show since his last title loss against Gunther, to where, yeah, it's believable. We all like Chad Gable. We've said it from the jump that Chad Gable taking that title away from Gunther is more than believable, and that can definitely kickstart Chad Gable in his trajectory long forward. But the problem is, man, if you're going to do Chad Gable and Gunther, you got to do it now. Like, you got to have him. But the thing is, would it be too little too late? Because of how irrelevant and legit emphasizing irrelevant, because that's just what Chad Gable has been. Nothing against Chad Gable. He's a great talent. This company just doesn't give one freaking iota about this guy's booking. And, instead of just putting him in comedy shticks with Tozawa and Maxine Dupree doing whatever the fuck. So I don't know. But Brian, I'll send this off to you, man. Jey Uso, Gunther next week. Your thoughts, as well as Gunther and holding on to this high C title, and who should take it from him.
At this point, I have no clue, other than, we've mentioned some names who aren't even on the roster yet. So again, we're a month away now. Like, or a little over a month, but
about a month and a half. Month and a half or so,
like, yeah. I just don't. I have no idea who the opponent for Gunther at Mania is going to be. But speaking of this match, on Raw, man, I don't know. I think it's a pay-per-view worthy match, and B, I don't know if they use this as a way, because I would say I don't think Jay could lose cleanly here, so I don't know if that means Imperium comes out, or does a Jay or a Solo come over and interfere, and maybe that's how you jumpstart
probably a Jimmy, or both.
Jimmy,
I'm sorry, Jimmy, probably Jay. Both, but maybe both Jimmy and Solo could probably get involved, and that could kickstart between Jimmy and Jay. Imperium probably could get involved in this. Probably, again, I would overbook the hell out of this freaking matchup next week. Because again, you don't want Jey Uso to just also lose clean. Yeah, sure, that fits Gunther and makes Gunther look like a beast. Nor you can do vice versa either. You can't even if the plan was for Jey to win.
There's no way. Like,
which is again, it's no way. But
silly.
let's just speak hypothetically that that's the plan, right? Like even Gunther couldn't freaking lose clean. Like again, you build him up for days upon hundreds of days for him to lose to little Jey Uso clean. Yeah, so that's the thing.
I wouldn't say little Jey Uso. Like I think even if they, I'm just teasing, right? Even if they did decide to go away somehow, I know they're going to have this match, but maybe if we didn't have Jimmy and Jey at Mania, and somehow it's Gunther and Jey again at Mania, I think Jey, he's definitely Intercontinental champion worthy. Like I think he's a legitimate, like he could beat Gunther. I just don't think they're not going to do that on a Monday Night Raw. Like they're just not.
No, we know we can agree about that. And again, I'm just teasing in regards to Jey Uso.
Oh yeah.
You know me, Brian, but yeah, no, I mean Jey Uso again. I've stated too. Like Jey Uso's done what he's been given. He's done very well. Again, people love to do the whole freaking shtick and this freaking entrance, which is really cool. The whole yeet freaking thing and the yeet no yeet freaking thing. People are into that. Eye of the beholder with that. So yeah, no, I mean is it believable to a degree? Yeah, again, because of how well people are behind Jey Uso right now with this with this shtick. But man, it's just I even go back to what I said before. Like Jey, deep down, his best work and what will always be his best work is in a tag team with his brother Jimmy. And so, yeah. And again, with Chad Gable, again, I would love it for it to be Chad Gable, but the problem is you haven't done shit with him for freaking months.
I can't see him at Mania. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I mean, not that he would need, I have no idea, man. Because I wouldn't say like an Orton or an AJ need that.
Because at this point, you can't, because at this point too, because I know we've stated it, like you can't really even do a Braun Breaker. Because like that could elevate Braun Breaker, but our casuals, when they watch WrestleMania, because there's going to be a lot of casuals, a lot of new eyeballs, and a lot of returning fans, they're going to be like, who, this Braun Breaker? Who's this guy going to be? Oh, NXT. I don't watch NXT. Who the fuck is this guy? That's the problem with Braun Breaker. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions and a lot of holes with Gunther and this and who he drops this title to. And again, maybe do they wait after Mania?
Yeah, maybe he doesn't drop it at Mania. Yeah,
maybe he doesn't drop it at Mania. Do they still? Because that's honestly, Brian, I think the only route that you can probably go at this point if there's not a definitive challenger that is worthy or believable enough to take this title from him. That could be on the table. Would I do that? No. But at this point where WWE's in, I don't think they really have a choice. So yeah, it's an unfortunate really situation. And of course there was already talks about it was going to be Gunther and Brock. Obviously that's freaking off the table now after what's transpired over the last several months. So, but
this is even a scenario like really, I said this back months ago. And if we're in this situation where, in the next month and a half, there really is no legitimate challenger that's, steps up and beats them, I'm perfectly okay with him winning at Mania,
relinquishing the title,
and then relinquishing the title. Like, I'd be okay with that.
I've spoken about that last week, and honestly, because man, you could do so much for whoever takes that title from Gunther,
for sure.
As well as that's what Gunther and his character would want for somebody to legit, respect the good fight to defeat him. But at this point, Brian, it's just that also could be on the table to where that's how you kickstart Gunther to being in the legit main event scene,
right?
In regards to the world title, him relinquishing this title. I know that's not what everybody wants, especially with me, but not just for us being okay with it, but that could legit be something that WWE could possibly do, because there's not a whole lot of names right now. Because of course the name was Brock Lesnar, of course after this whole lawsuit and everything as well, but we'll see, man. We shall see. So Jey Uso and Gunther next week. It's very just interesting how we're just rushing into, and again, man, this is the thing about title matches. They just don't they just don't feel special anymore, especially on Monday Night Raws. Title matches on Monday Night Raws as well as weekly shows, they used to be very, very special in a way because you rarely see them. Now you just see them every other freaking week. There's rarely a whole lot of just care and substance behind it. I mean, guys, we've gotten to this point just from this past week with a 6-man tag match. You're probably going to see the Imperium get involved. You'll probably see maybe the New Day get involved, and they'll probably have them brawl with Imperium, so that way it evens up the numbers, and maybe that's how Jimmy gets involved with this match, to where, Imperium gets involved, New Day gets involved, they brawl to the back, so now it's one-on-one again, and then you have Jimmy and Solo get involved while the referee's distracted or some shit, and that kickstarts Jey and Jimmy for Mania. That's probably something that they'll probably do if they overbook this match like crazy.
Yeah, and let me ask this: Jey doesn't have like a qualifying match for the Chamber, right? He's not.
No.
And Gunther doesn't have a match right now for the Chamber, right? So, I don't know why you couldn't.
I don't know why you couldn't have just saved this for
the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I guess they already have the March, whatever the match card set. I don't know, but again, I think this is just a pay-per-view worthy match.
Yeah, the only thing I can also think of is that they want it, especially because it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and because it's Australia, they want it to be mainly focused on Rhea, because I'm pretty sure Rhea is probably gonna main event or maybe be the co-main event. Or
she's got to be the main event.
She's got to be the main event in Australia. She would have to be. So I think that's maybe wise that they don't want another match to possibly overshadow headlines from fans, to be like, oh wow, what a match from freaking Jey and Gunther, and then like the ladies try to top that and it doesn't reach expectations, because they know Jey and Gunther, it's going to be a decent match, and they're going to do their thing. And I think WWE's thinking like, okay, Rhea, Nia Jax, it's not going to be the greatest technical wrestling match, of course. So they probably thinking, all right, let's put more of the eyeballs on Rhea and Nia and leave Gunther and Jey off the card. Let's just have this on a Monday Night Raw. But I agree with you, dude. Like, this should legit be built properly to a big stage. So, but we'll see in regards to it. But yeah, I would overbook the hell out of this match. As I said last week, it's going to be interesting how everything transpires. Again, do they have the New Day get involved? Does Imperium get involved? Does Jimmy and Solo get involved and cost Jey the matchup to kickstart to Mania? We'll soon find out in regards to it. But let's dive straight into our final topic of the day for Monday Night Raw. And that is, once again, with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. So Cody Rhodes comes out. He kicks off the show. He's backstage. He comes out of his freaking whatever it was, his bus or whatever that he gets to the arena in. And this guy's smiling from freaking ear to ear, like he just did, freaking, how you doing with freaking Brandy Rose freaking backstage or something. Hey, if that's the case, then hey, I don't blame him from freaking smiling for that regard. But still, this guy freaking Brian just got slapped across his mug by The Rock in front of thousands and millions of people. And this dude's just smiling away from ear to ear. Like, dude, can you be freaking somewhat pissed off that you just got freaking slapped a couple days ago? Like, they're making this, and again, I don't know if this is sabotage because of Triple H, because again, I feel like, again, Triple H would be that, because again, I always say that he's Vince McMahon 2.0, and I truly believe that, and people have different takes about it. It is what it is. But because of the whole Cody, when he was in AEW, the whole sledgehammer to the throne, I really truly feel like Triple H took that shit to heart, to where, yeah, we're going to make you a top star in this industry, but we're also going to make you at times look like a freaking idiot and a fool, especially when it comes to freaking trying to grab the brass ring, which is finishing the story and taking the title from Roman. But it's like, this dude is never explaining himself, ever. Like, he comes out there, he's smiling like everything is just all hunky-dory. It's like, dude, you got slapped by The Rock in front of millions and millions of people. Like, can you be somewhat serious and act like you legit just got embarrassed in front of millions upon millions of freaking wrestling fans? That, Brian, is just that, and he's got the suit. It's just a weird dynamic. And again, I like Cody. Cody's awesome. It's just, that's just very weird to me. There's got to be like a little bit of a realism. I don't care how much of a professional you may be. If you're trying to tell a story, with a fictional character, like creating fictional characters, like you would think that after you get slapped across your face, you would be somewhat pissed and be looking to say something or looking for a fight or whatever. I don't know. But Cody Rhodes comes out there. He cuts a promo talking about the whole press conference and everything. He's like, what do you want to talk about, Lexington? Like, he's just, it's everything's like chocolate chip cookies and freaking rainbows, right? And he talks about freaking Rock's freaking or when he was on the Pat McAfee show, he showed the clip about The Rock, and The Rock's talking about, hey, like, the Cody crybabies, every time they send out 10 tweets, they shove a chicken McNugget in their mouth, and after 10 tweets, they take 2 chicken McNuggets and shove it up their ass. Just shut your bitch asses up and just, let The Rock take you on this journey that The Rock is about to take you on. Hashtag Cody crybabies. Hashtag shut your bitch ass up. It's funny how I remember the whole.
Oh my god! And it was awesome.
It was just freaking great. So they replayed that, and Cody's like, so it's like, there's one question I have in regards to this. What am I supposed to do with the nuggets? It was actually funny. The crowd was like,
McAfee made that part of it.
Like,
McAfee's like, shove him.
He was like, right. He's like going to McAfee's like, McAfee, you were there. Like, well, what am I supposed to do with the nuggets? Like, you're just shove them up your ass. Or it was funny. It was funny.
That was good. Yeah.
The crowd was like, half of the crowd thought it was funny. They're like, oh, good one. And the half of the crowd was like, okay. I think Cody was expecting more of like that to be over with the crowd than what it was, but it was funny. It was really funny. It's like, what am I supposed to do with these? I shove them up my ass. Like, what is he talking about? Pat, do you know what he's talking about? Yeah, just take them and just shove them up your ass or whatever. So that was pretty funny. So then Seth Rollins comes out, and he cuts his promo. He does this again, tremendous. And I said this on Instagram, very good promo by Seth. He comes out there and he pretty much, he says the gist of like, listen, not only do you have to finish your story, you need to finish your story because the glass ceiling keeps getting thicker. The brass ring keeps getting higher because if Roman Reigns walks out with that title, he's going to be more untouchable. He's going to take more days off. He's going to do so. You need to finish this story. And he talks about the fact that, listen, maybe this is my fault. I'm the one that kind of created this monster. A couple years ago, I took that steel chair. I mean, speaking hypothetically as of right now, but, the whole turn with the Shield, I never thought that Roman Reigns would be this diabolical or what he has become to this day. But, and he pretty much, he hands an olive branch pretty much to Cody Rhodes. He's like, listen, I can be pretty much your shield and I will fight this fight with you. You don't have to fight this fight alone because not only are you dealing with Roman, not only are you dealing with Jimmy, not only are you dealing with Solo or Heyman, now you're dealing with one of the biggest entertainers in this industry, and that's The Rock. And you don't have to fight this battle alone. I can fight this battle with you and be your shield, quote unquote, kind of like, really emphasizing the shield, because Roman, Seth, the whole Shield faction or whatever. So you guys get the gist with that. So, and that's your segment. Seth walks out. I'm pretty sure that started the night off. And that was pretty much it. And then Cody's kind of just like in deep thoughts, like, okay, cool. And Seth Rollins just walks off. So, again, like I said, good segment, a good promo by Seth. Again, the guy's pretty much just trying to turn something or trying to turn nothing into something at this point now, especially with Cody and Roman at this point. I've said it at the top of the show. They're continuing, Brian, to do everything besides tell a story between Cody and Roman or to get me excited about Cody and Roman, because now that The Rock is inserted, and now we're talking about this upcoming tag match that I keep hearing about. I don't know what the fuck that's going to do or like why I should care about Seth and Cody in a tag match against Roman and Rock. I mean, yeah, for what it was, it sounds cool, but like there's nothing on the line. It's really just not needed because thank God we decided to scratch Roman and Rock and just have a tag match, just a regular tag match. And again, it's not official yet, but that's what's been talking about that could happen. But at Elimination Chamber, we now know that Cody and Seth are going to be in a Grayson Waller effect segment at the Elimination Chamber. So that segment is going to be at the PLE. They're probably going to maybe do something in regards. They're going to obviously call out both Roman and Rock, and that, who knows, that could potentially set up the tag match. Probably. Right. And who knows when they have this tag match, is this a layer to where maybe you eventually get to Roman and Rock? It's just, but that also leaves the question again. It's just, you're telling more of the story between Cody and The Rock because of the whole chicken McNuggets shove them up your ass thing. And it's becoming more about The Rock and now less about Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. And listen, this company had no choice but to turn The Rock because of how the fans reacted and the Cody crybabies and all these marks and all these nerds. They got what they want. They got Cody and Roman. And again, I was fine with it to a degree. I don't mind if you want to do Cody and Roman, as long as in some form or fashion, we get also Roman and Rock, because that's just the once in a lifetime dream match that just has to freaking happen, as well as you said it too, Brian. So I don't know. Because if this tag match is going to happen, it's just like, when and where do you have this said match if that's what Seth and Cody could possibly call out Roman and Rock for? Mm-hmm. I don't know. And I guess we'll know more about it for freaking for this past Friday or this coming Friday on SmackDown when Roman and Rock are on the show. So, but by the way, guys, Roman, Rock, you didn't want to come to Charlotte freaking last week? I'm just saying. I was in the building. You don't want to come there. So
that would have been sweet if they were, man.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, but they wanted to go to freaking, again, no offense to people from Alabama, but you wanted to go to Alabama, but you didn't want to come to Charlotte. I see how it is. Freaking, okay, Charlotte. Okay, that's where we do the bare minimum. Okay, qualifying match. Bailey and Io segment, which was damn good, by the way. Qualifying match. And yep, there you go. That's what Charlotte gets. So anyway, Fred, just all seriousness, but so yeah, Brian, that's just where I'm at, to where, yeah, there's a lot of good things that could be salvaged from this entire situation. It's just, they're doing everything to get you excited that's not about Roman and Cody. And that's just pretty much it. You did the whole jabs with Seth and Roman, which are damn good, by the way, which was damn freaking entertaining. The Rock and him calling people Cody crybabies, and Cody, you're telling more of a story between the Rock and Cody. I mean, heel Rock versus Cody, like, I'll take that. But you're doing more of that than you are of Roman and Cody. So now the story with Roman, it's pretty much changed now that The Rock is involved. So that's where things just get, dare I say, confusing of how everything transpires. But I guess we'll find out. But Brian, finish this off, man. Your thoughts about Cody, about Seth and his promo and this entire situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super excited about a tag match per se with them, other than because if that happens, this is especially, leading into Mania.
Right. It's
Cody and Seth are losing that to build, the baby face, and then, they're victorious in Mania, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's a thought I had, though, because look, even within the bloodline, right, there's, whatever happens at Mania is going to happen at Mania. But you got the Jimmy and Jey thing. You Solo, you've seen him give the side eye to Roman a time or two. Shield Seth comes out there and just, name drops the Shield. Like, there's still a long-term, multiple stories just within these characters, overall. What do you think about this, man? Like, again, it's taking WrestleMania out of it. We're past Mania. I can see something, again, this depends on how long and how much we see The Rock in ring.
Yeah.
But Survivor Series, man, something, if Jey is still not with the bloodline, I mean, you got Rock, Roman, Jimmy, and Solo. And then on the other side, you got Seth, Cody, Jey, and you're going to have to get somebody else. I don't know who that could be right now.
Like Sami Zayn or somebody.
Sami Zayn or something. But, I could see something big like that happen at a Survivor Series. They're just with... And that's a long ways away. And like I said, there's just so many storylines revolving around, these 6 to 8 individuals that... yes, whatever's going to happen at Mania is going to happen, but there's also things that are going to transpire past that.
Yeah. Because
And that's when I say, to with the company's in good hands right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I know we're we got in a shit place for particular reasons here, going into Rumble,
Yeah.
and a lot of shit had to change.
Yeah.
But coming out of this, I think they're going to be good, man.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like, honestly, because I feel like they want to get more long term in regards to this new calendar year of like
yeah,
after Mania. I feel like,
yeah,
honestly, Brian, they just want to, like, because of all this shit that's happened. And I can blame it to a degree. I can't fully blame on it, man. I can't fully just blame just the injuries in this lawsuit. I have to take some of the blame with Triple H and his creativity and his booking, but it does play a part into it. It just seems like that, man. Let's just get to Mania. Let's just try to finish out Mania season. And then afterwards, yeah, like you said, there could be some things to where WWE wants to, or some avenues that they want to look into to maybe where it starts to pick things up a little bit in regards to, like you said, Survivor Series or SummerSlam or Bash in Berlin. They got a big show in Germany for this coming summer. So that's just what it feels like to me, Brian. It's just that because of what's happened this past year, as well as over the last several weeks and months, it just feels like, all right, let's just do everything we can just to get to Mania. Let's just get to Mania because of just how everything's transpired. And like, okay, now we can think long-term. Now we can maybe think. Again, I'm not going to give Triple H and everybody that benefit of the doubt that they're thinking that long-term, but something in regards to getting a consistent flowing story arc or whatever word you want to spew,
right,
and we're for everybody, right? And that's just what it comes across in regards to it. So yeah, I mean, because with Roman, the whole story with Roman has changed now, especially with Cody, and you can honestly, Brian, take it to this degree, like, and I've said it to David this past Saturday, it's just like, this is the most Cody has been over with fans this entire year because of The Rock, right?
Yep.
And that just shows you, because, guys, I highly doubt, like, I am 100% confident that a lot of you that are listening to this or watching this, you did not give a single shit about Cody. You were not thinking Cody versus Roman WrestleMania this coming year. You were not thinking about it because they didn't give a shit about booking it properly, nor did they want to put any care and effort into it. And now all of a sudden, and again, that's why The Rock is here. And again, you can thank the lawsuit and everything else, but they knew they didn't book it properly. That's why they also inserted The Rock. That's why The Rock came back, did that whole shtick with Jinder Mahal, said the whole head of the table. Is the head of the table shtick has something to do with maybe the whole TKO spiel? Okay, yeah. But it's also about, I mean, they did the face-to-face. They did that intense face-off. I'm telling you that the plan was to have Rock and Roman. Fans fucking cried and bitched about it. And here we are.
And here we are. So the Cody crybabies, you know who you have to thank for the rise in popularity of Cody recently? The Rock.
Yeah, you can thank the freaking Rock. So how about, instead of Rocky sucks, how about a thank you, Rocky? Maybe to a degree. I don't know. But it's just, but now because of it, Brian, it just feels like we're in a mess. Like, it doesn't really feel
a little bit,
like WrestleMania season. It feels like we're just trying to just get there. And that's why I'm very critical about what's transpiring. And again, I know the injuries, the lawsuit, all of it's unfortunate. Because here's the thing too, Brian, even if Punk never got injured, if Seth Rollins hasn't been dealing with all of these injuries, and the plan was to have Punk and Rollins still, I still wouldn't give it two shits about Cody versus Roman. I just wouldn't. I've even said it, Punk and Rollins, that whole spiel, because of how real it felt, the heat and the animosity, that felt more intriguing than Cody and Roman just running it back another year.
Sure.
But this is where we're at. Fans want people to finish the story. And I'm telling you, man, and it's not evident that Cody is going to even defeat Roman.
No,
at Mania.
that's going to be big because it's,
and here's the thing too, right? And I'll finish it off with this and I'll send this back over to you, Brian. It's just like fans will say like, oh, it's predictable. Like we already know that The Rock is going to defeat Roman. Like at least with Cody and Roman, like there's some suspense. Guys, I'm telling you this right now. If Cody Rhodes does not walk out of WrestleMania 40 with that title, you're not going to be talking about predictability. You're going to be pissed off. Like, stop. What are we doing, bro? Like, people
talk about Cody crybabies. Oh my God.
Right. Like, seriously, like you're going to spew me about predictability when you know damn well if Roman Reigns is still champion, which again, I'm 99.9% sure that is still going to freaking happen, by the way. You guys are not going to be talking about predictability. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Stop with the predictability stuff, man. Enough. Anyway, Brian, your final thoughts before we end things, man. Your final thoughts.
Man, speaking of that, just that particular situation, man. I mean, they are kind of in a tough spot here because you think about all those years that WWE forced Roman down your, did not listen to the WWE audience, right? And forced Roman down your throat as the babyface, right?
Uh-huh.
Now you get to a point, which again, I do think it's in large part because of who has the final say in decision making, that I think WWE and the creative are going to listen, not all the time, because that would be fucking stupid. But they are,
God forbid.
right. But they are going to do it a little bit more where they listen to the crowd, right? You could go back to a Daniel Bryan situation. Well, now the Cody crybabies, whatever you want to call them, they've come out and Cody's got his match. I have no doubt the reaction to everything, the Cody and the reaction to The Rock, this is why things have been in flux and changing, and why you see Cody immediately point to Roman and then say, I'm not coming after you, and then come out and say this is bullshit. It's because of the audience, the reactions to everything that's going on. So for y'all got to take some of the blame here.
Right. Because it's also making Cody Rhodes look like an idiot. Like he's saying like, oh, I don't want shit Mania. Oh, nope, scratch that at the press conference. Now I do want to challenge him, man. So all of the, right. Because you're absolutely right, Brian, because they're calling these audibles partially due to the fans and crying and bitching and moaning. But what they don't realize is that it's just making Cody Rhodes look more and more like just like a fool, look like a freaking idiot. It's just like, you just said at freaking SmackDown before the press conference, you were not going to fight him at Mania. That's what you just said. And now a week later, you say it's bullshit. What the fuck is bullshit? You just said you weren't going to find him at Mania. You're not even explaining yourself. He didn't even explain himself why he even changed his mind. That's my problem.
Because it's the fan. Because I mean, sure, they could create something, and maybe they should have. But the legit truth is because of the reaction.
Right.
And you can't say that.
But wouldn't you think that they would at least like acknowledge the fact that what you said, like you just expect me to forget what Cody Rhodes said? That's what I'm saying, Brian.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. It's because of what the fans have reacted to this entire situation, The Rock and everything else. But it's the fact that he's not explaining himself, right? You said that you weren't going to find him at Mania. Now you're saying you're going to find him at Mania. And now you're not even explaining yourself. Oh, well, James, they can do that in the future. Like, but guys, by the time we get to closer to Mania, Cody Rhodes is going to have like 1,000 things to freaking explain about. Like, it's so
Can we ever get that explanation for Brock and Cody? Are we still waiting on that one?
Yeah, bro. I'll probably be dead by the time we get a freaking explanation, man. And that's right. So that's just, bro, that's my problem, is that fans don't understand that because of this outrage that they've had as of late, they don't realize of how much harm it's actually making Cody look.
Yeah.
That's my issue with all this, man, because I like Cody. I want Cody to finish this story, but I can't bullshit with you guys to say that they actually tell the story for a year. Like, people say that there's this story. What story? They haven't told it with Cody and Roman all year. They did one face-off, and that was it. Yeah. They never exchanged paths. Nothing. They didn't do shit. And that's and that's why it's evident, because they needed headlines, Brian, because of the lawsuits, right? They needed major headlines. In comes The Rock, face off with Roman. Here we go. Roman and Rock, let's freaking do it. Let's build 2+ months of this shit. And then boom, fans want to cry, bitch, and moan. And now WWE has to pander their way through all of this mess because there's a bunch of freaking marks and nerds that didn't get what they want. And now it's making Cody look like a freaking geek in the process. So
it'll be interesting because here's ultimately the match at Mania. Here's what it comes down to. They got two choices. Are you finishing the story with Cody, or is Roman surpassing Hogan? That's what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to. Absolutely. So we'll see, man. This isn't going to be the last time we're going to talk about this matchup with Cody and Roman at Mania. So listen, man. I get it. There's still some time to build some stuff up, but guys, we got to start now. Start telling the story now between Cody and Roman. I like the fact what you're doing with The Rock. I like the fact what you've been doing with Roman and Seth and the jab. It's good stuff, but you got to start getting creative. You got to start getting creative about your main event that you just put the stamp on for Mania of Night 2. You got to get
Cody
that.
now. You got to get Cody and Roman in the ring together something.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's nothing that they've done this entire year has been about those two. It's either been about Cody and Rock. It's been about Roman and Seth. Never been about those two. And Brian, it's got to start now. Sometime now, whether that's maybe at SmackDown or next week on Raw. We got to start getting the ball rolling with those two, because the more we push this on, we drag this on to where, oh, don't worry, we got a month and a half. Oh, don't worry, we got another month. Oh, don't worry, we got about less than 30 days. It's going to be too late to where there's going to be no intrigue whatsoever at all. So, and that's it, man. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode, another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Again, want to thank David for joining me from last week. Make sure you guys check that episode out.
Good job from both of you. Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And again, we're excited to have him back onto the show when he joins us for the WrestleMania Roundtable. That is going to be March 30th, was the day that we start recording that show. So make sure you guys stay tuned for when that episode does get published out. We'll have David and a bunch of other people for that WrestleMania Roundtable show. And of course, we're going to talk, Elimination Chamber coming up as well. Just in about a week from now, as well as AEW Revolution. We will be talking AEW in our next episode this coming weekend, as well as Friday Night SmackDown. It's going to be a lot of juicy stuff with SmackDown. We got The Rock and Roman. We'll be on that show, returning after what happened from the press conference just a couple days ago. So a lot of questions. Listen, it's still WrestleMania season, and Brian, at the end of the day, as fans, we're going to hold out hope. And that's what I always say. I've said this since day one. We tune into wrestling for two things: habit and hope. Habit, because we've been doing it for so long as fans, and we hope that things just are planned accordingly. So, but thank you guys again so much. You guys see that banner down below. Make sure you guys go follow us on social media, on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. And as always, stay tuned for more content to come. Brian, your final thoughts before we end the show.
Like I said, man, I mean, my final thoughts overall is just that I'm while it's some things are frustrating right now. I'm really, really excited about the future of WWE. Now that it remains to be said, of course, they could totally shit the bed, but I truly don't think that's going to happen with everybody in place. And I really think it's more of a team decision, on a lot of things rather than one guy. Which is always a positive in my book. So man, I'm really looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to it. That I'll leave it at that. Bailey, I think, is going to have a huge year. So you'll hear it all, man. You'll hear the good, the bad, and the ugly from us all year. But I think this is going to be a good year for WWE, man.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And that is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And until next time, and there will be a next time, your boys are signing off, saying salutes.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody.
Let the body hit the floor. Let the body hit the floor. Let the body hit the floor.